What in the world are the Baltimore Orioles doing, guys? What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm Adam Peddle, joined alongside by Nicholas Paleolog. Guys, the Orioles are an absolute train wreck so far this season, but they did make some moves. They fired Brendan Hyde finally. I know Orioles fans have been calling out for this all season long. He's gone. They also made a couple moves with the roster. They DFA'd Kyle Gibson and then Tyler O'Neill to the IL. We're going to talk about a little bit about that. And as well, is firing Brendan Hyde the solution the Orioles need? Before we get into it, guys, hit that like button and subscribe to Bad for Baseball. Man, this is the third time we've talked about the Orioles so far this season. Every time it feels like it keeps getting worse and worse, but they finally did something, the front office, actually.
That's the thing, right? Like, they were on a train straight to the bottom, and ultimately, this is one of the few moves that they had left, right? You know, you go over to Brandon Hyde and what it was that he was saying about this team, and it's clear that whilst he is, in my opinion, still a very good manager, he just didn't have any answers for the squad. Right? He came out and he said, I'm kind of in disbelief, honestly. This was like a couple games prior, right, when they got just absolutely spanked by somebody. The guy just did not have any answers, did not know what to do. Now, to his credit, right, Did they do enough getting starting pitching? Did they do
didn't.
enough, acquiring people in the offseason, right? You lose Anthony Santander, you lose Corbin Burns. That is a big blow. Yes, they made some moves, but, Charlie Morton's clearly not showing up. Sagano is a good one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, obviously, to Brandon Hyde's credit, the roster might not have been there.
Yeah, like the moves they made were all these mid kind of like weird dart throw moves. Like you're hoping there's a renaissance from Charlie Morton. That's obviously not the case. This guy's been in the bullpen since April. Sugano, like you mentioned, is the one good move, but that was like a dart throw of like a 35-year-old Japanese pitcher, right? That's coming over here for the first time. It's like you don't know what that's going to be. Granted, he's good so far until maybe the league adjusts him. We'll see. Then you had Tyler O'Neill. He's struggling, and now he's hit the IL. And then you had this right here. Kyle Gibson, another starting pitcher, and they've been screaming for starting pitching. Kyle Gibson comes over here, has effing 4 games, gets blown up. That's 12 innings right there, and he's got a whip over 2 and an ERA of 16, and they just outright DFA'd the guy recently. So they all, moves have been happening. All the moves that they got brought in are not working, and the guys that they currently have are also struggling as well on this team.
Yeah, so I guess the big question is here, man, when you're looking over at this roster and the squad, and especially too when you're factoring in just all of their season-long ranks because they're not very good, is this on Brandon Hyde? Or is this to an extent on Brandon Hyde, and is firing him, is moving on from him at this current juncture in the season, is that going to help this squad? Or, because we have seen in the past, to the management's credit, we have seen in the past, you get that kind of, the manager gets fired, and now you get a boost, right? And there's 2-3 weeks of time where, this is a different squad. Phillies did it, a couple years back. I think they maybe made it to the World Series that year. Right. So it's not impossible for them to, bounce back here. Is that going to happen or not?
Look, I think there's a problem that goes beyond Brandon Hyde. I think the roster is fundamentally built wrong, right? And whereas the Phillies team, they had all the pieces there. Your rotation was solid. You had your bullpen, that was the struggling part of their team, but they fixed it with roster moves later on in that season. And then they had a lineup of just absolute veteran players. This is an Orioles team that's still very, very young, especially in that lineup, right? And then you're looking over at the pitching staff that's just, again, it's fundamentally not there. They still are rocking with a 3-man rotation. We've been screaming that's the problem all season long. Now you don't have Kyle Gibson, right? Your one good player is Sugano. You have one guy in your rotation that can pitch games. So even if you fire Brendan Hyde, is that going to turn around Eflin, Kramers, Povich, heal the arms and shoulders of all these guys on the IL, fix every single one of these guys in the bullpen? That's a miracle. You're asking for a miracle at that point, right? So for me, it's not necessarily on Brendan Hyde. I would blame the front office right here.
Yeah, I do get that. Now, the one thing that I will say about Brandon Hyde, and, maybe something that you could put on him, is that I still believed in this offense. I still believed in the lineup. And the lineup, I don't really have any issues with the way that they have, constructed the lineup from a roster standpoint, but it is still not performing right now. Looking over at their season-long ranks, man, can you just scroll up there so we can see? I mean, they're 24th in batting average. They're 25th in runs scored, which ultimately is the only category that actually means anything at all. This was a lineup, and I think that we were talking about this team, breaking down every squad in the preseason. This was a lineup that we were talking about as potentially being a top 5 lineup, and that's even without Anthony Santander, because they did bring in Tyler O'Neill, who was very, very good last year, and you believed that Holiday was going to take that step up, and to his credit, he's doing decent so far. Mountcastle, we know what he can do. Gunnar Henderson was an MVP candidate last year. Like, we believed in this squad, and so far they are not doing enough to pick up their pitching. Now, granted, I don't know if they could do. They'd have to be number 1 in baseball to pick up the pitching the way that it's at right now.
100%.
But clearly, this is not going to be a winning formula when you have the 25th, ranked offense in all of baseball.
I know, and you are looking at guys up there like, Ryan Mountcastle. You're looking, honestly, at Adley Rutschman right now. Any team is going to be a bad team if your star dudes are going to perform poorly. I mean, even Gunnar Henderson, he's got a 774 OPS, but that is your superstar MVP candidate guy, and he was that last year.
Yeah.
And you kind of need him to play like that. You need to play him you need him to play like that, because Adley Rutschman was struggling last year and he's still struggling this year. So now that you see that little bit of dip, and then everybody else kind of just taking a little bit of a dip. Ryan O'Hearn's playing great, but you kind of need overall your stars to be stars at the top of the lineup.
That's the thing, our evaluation of this team prior to the season starting was that they were going to have mid to below average pitching, but that offense was going to, claw themselves out of it. They're having worse pitching than even we imagined, and the offense isn't doing anything at all. So, when I look at this move and when I look at where the Baltimore Orioles are at right now, I think that this was honestly maybe a move that they had to make because, they have to do something right now to quiet down all the pitchforks and the torches and everything like that. So, you know what, maybe they'll quiet that down for a bit. But this feels to me like a move that the front office is making to kind of mitigate their mistake of not going out and not addressing some of their key areas of need in the offseason. Maybe they get that boost. Maybe things work out for them. But I do agree with you that ultimately right now, this season, where it's at, 15-30, this is a we play for the trade deadline type of season,
right?
And we probably sell off a lot of pieces at that moment
in
time.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Is so that's the next move for this front office. What do they do at this deadline? Are they going to try and sell a little bit, retool, and prepare for next year? Is that what Orioles fans would want to see next?
Well, ultimately, if I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, if I'm looking at this roster right now, when you're 15-30, especially in an American League right now, where the Central has decided to be elite, so you're gonna have, at this point, the division's completely out of reach. You're playing for wild card, if you're playing for anything at all, and you have to go on, a historic run and turn everything around. It's probably not realistic when you have a negative 85 run differential, man. I think if I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, I'm looking to sell off any nice little 1-2 year pieces that we can. Then just cross your fingers, pray to God that next year Adley Rutschman's the guy, and Gunnar Henderson can start the year healthy, and maybe they can finish strong. I guess the big problem is, though, when you're looking at that roster, who the fuck do you even sell?
That's the thing, Sugano.
Yeah,
you're selling Sugano, right? But then again, it's he's a 1-year rental anyways. But next year, as an Orioles fan, after you sell off the deadline, you have to be able to retool in the offseason. You got to go get pitching, man. I don't know how I don't know how you didn't do it last year when you knew you were losing Corbin Burns. You tried, but he was a goner anyways. I don't know how you didn't supplement any other way, man.
I think that this was a lesson learned, and you got to hope if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan that the front office realized that, you know what, when you lose a guy like Corbin Burns, it is kind of a dagger. Now, folks, if you want to bet on where these Baltimore Orioles are going to finish the season, you can do so on Betway. So scan the QR code that's on the screen right now and jump on to Betway. Their over-under line for win-loss is at 71.5 wins right now. That is crazy because that is a dip of 15, 16 games from where they were in the preseason. But makes sense when they're 15-30.
Yeah.
Where are you at under 71.5?
The favorite is the under, and what we're talking about right here is all their pitchers are, dead right now, essentially, right? Or dead arms, even if they're in that rotation. And they probably should sell Suganu at the deadline, which will get even worse. Yeah, an offense could be great, but like not if you're giving up 8, 9, 10 runs a game. So I think there's a good chance that they actually might hit the under.
I think there is also a good chance that they hit the under, folks. But you guys let us know in the comments down below. Where are you riding with this and your thoughts on this move? Was it the right move for the Baltimore Orioles right now to release Brandon Hyde, 2023 Manager of the Year, by the way?
I know.
You know, like, guy does know how to manage baseball
I know.
team, but clearly was not doing a sufficient job with this one.
Hit that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.